Good afternoon, people. Um, Been a little while since I've last jumped on here, and it's not really um, a happy thing to jump on and kind of talk about, but I think I just needed to kind of get something off my chest and kind of question a few things. Maybe people can give me some answers to things that I'm not understanding at the moment. We've had a lockdown in place for March. It kind of all got unlocked a couple of weeks ago, but we were told to tread carefully. Um, then all of a sudden, the Dominic Cummings thing exploded, and some people were rightly outraged by it. Other people weren't particularly bothered. Other people used it as a bandwagon to jump on to kind of justify them breaking lockdown and social distancing rules by saying, well, if he can do it, so can I. My answer to that is two wrongs don't make a fucking right. Yes, the guy may have made a foolish decision, but for people en masse to say, well, now I'm going to start doing it because he did, that doesn't really help matters. We were doing okay, but my fear now is we're going to take a huge step backwards in regarding lockdown and stuff like that, because in the last few weeks people have becoming less and less bothered about the spread of this virus and more bothered about other things, or bothered about going to the coast, going out for the day, stuff like that, and not thinking about not just their health but the fact that they might not have symptoms but could be passing it on to other people. You feel sorry for some of these places of beauty that these thousands of people are rocking up at, absolutely trashing the place, no regard for their own health and safety, no regard for the people that live there's health and safety. I live in a coastal area, and I've got to be honest, I wanted to take a bit of exercise, break from work, went to the beach, turned around and walked straight away because it was just so busy on the beach. And just by hearing the people as they're talking and walking around, they weren't locals, they were people that had travelled down, and there was no social distancing, letting their kids just run wild, banging into people walking like nine abreast across the pavement, so you can't get past them, you can't walk in the road because there's cars. It just seems to be a wave of absolute fucking stupidity has all of a sudden hit this country, and everyone's trying to justify acting like a dickhead because of Dominic Cummings. No, you were acting like a dickhead before then. I can guarantee it. I can guarantee you've been breaking the rules pretty much weeks before that happened, but this was just a convenient way of explaining away your behaviour and saying, well, if he can do it, I can do it. Anyway, by the by with that, I think the more serious thing now, on a global and not just on a UK based thing, now I don't want to get into the details of events that have happened in America. Needless to say, disgusting. However, people do need to kind of protest. I can completely get that. I can completely get you've got to protest. You can't let this thing pass by. But you've also got to have in the back of your mind, we are in the middle of one of the worst pandemics that's hit this world for God knows how long. I think the last time we ever experienced anything worse as bad as this was probably the plague or Spanish flu, which was like, hundreds of years ago. However, people are completely disregarding their own well-being and everyone around them well-being to protest. Now, if you want to protest and you have to protest, yep, we live in a free society. Everyone's got the right to protest, but times are slightly different at the moment. We do have a pandemic that in this country has wiped out, getting close on to 40,000 people. In America, it's more than double that. It's over 100,000 people have been killed with this virus. However, people protesting and not sticking to staying 2 meters apart and kind of staying close knit and stuff like that, are not thinking about the long term effects this could have. I've seen today that there's been a big rally in London, and thousands have turned up there. They're not social distancing. They're just all in one group together. They've completely forgotten about the fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic, and the protesting is far more important than their own well-being and the people around them's well-being and the country's well-being, and that is frightening. To be completely honest with you, everyone moaned how bad lockdown was and people couldn't cope, and I don't think I can take it anymore. Oh, my children are so bored. I'm not being funny, but I'd sooner have my kids bored than fucking dead. It's as simple as that. I'd sooner be bored out my brain indoors than be dead. I'd sooner my family be bored at home, knowing that one day we'll all be able to meet up again and we'll be able to hug each other and stuff like that, rather than have them dead. But people don't see that. People just see the short term thing. Oh God, I can't do this, I can't do that, I don't want to go out. Why should I be forced to stay in? You're being asked to stay in to save your health, the people around you's health, to make sure the NHS don't get over swamped with people, so it gets to the point where they have to not treat people because they haven't got enough beds to treat them. That's what we've done all this social distancing for. That's what we've done all the lockdown for, to prevent that. And we came a long way and done really, really well with it. Yes, there were dickheads, but whatever you do, you're going to get dickheads. However, now we are really, really probably frightening the hell out of the NHS at the moment, with thousands of people turning up in London. I think it's Hyde Park, for this thing. Thousands of people turned up in Trafalgar Square the other day protesting. They're not worried about social distancing. It's a completely alien thing, and they're not even thinking about it. It's a second thought. The main thing is all to get together to protest. And as I said, protesting is fine, but we are in completely different times at the moment, and sometimes there's a time and a place for doing these things and the right way of doing things, and this isn't the right way of doing it. I'm pretty certain the family of that poor guy that needlessly died wouldn't want to put hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, potentially millions of people's lives at risk in a protest of that. They wouldn't want that. They want to protest, but they wouldn't want other people to die needlessly because of this. And that's the reason why we're protesting. They're protesting because a person died needlessly at the hands of an absolute monster. An abomination of a person did what they did. But now people could die based on this, because too many people getting together in one place, passing that virus around to everyone, and then the NHS could get swamped over. Even worse, it must be very panicking in the States at the moment, because they are the worst country in the world at the moment, getting hit by it, and they could take a huge step backwards with this as well. Now, I completely get people that are maybe shouting at their monitors at the moment watching this, saying that Trump has caused this problem, and Trump, yeah, I completely agree. The man is not fit to run a bath, let alone run a country, and hopefully the American people will see sense in November and vote his arse out. Let's completely hope that does happen. However, is it really worth risking thousands of people's lives and putting people in hospital and people losing relatives and people passing it on to the elderly? Is it really worth a second wave of tens of thousands of people dying and another risk of being under more severe lockdown? Is it really worth risking all that just so that thousands of people can get together and protest? The whole idea of why they're protesting is one man died needlessly, but is it worth protesting so that thousands die needlessly? That's the thing you've got to kind of weigh up. That's the thing you've got to kind of look at. Unfortunately, these things do get hijacked by rent-a-mob who just turn up to cause trouble, and that's where the looting and that's where the vandalism starts. It's these morons that always turn up to protests just to stir trouble up. You do have the people that just want to protest peacefully, and I've seen that on the news. I've seen them kind of talking to the police officers and the army in America and being peaceful protesting, and that's completely fine. Unfortunately, rent-a-mob do turn up to these things. My worry is rent-a-mob are going to turn up to this thing at Hyde Park as well and kick off and start fighting with the police and winding things up. And it could be that we're, thousands of people could end up getting that passed to them, and 2 weeks down the line when we're watching our briefing, the the infection rate spikes. We go over the one that they want to keep it under. The hospitals start getting overwhelmed again, and we go back to a lockdown, and maybe even a worse lockdown than what we had before. I mean, the one we had before was just literally stay indoors. We could end up with basically curfews. No one's allowed out after a certain time. Things could be closed up pretty much like Italy and Spain were. We could end up in that kind of situation, and it's worrying. I must admit, I'm worried. I mean, yes, lockdown, it does get to me at times, not being able to see my family properly. Yep, we can all meet up in an open area, 6 of us, but we can't hug. We can't, I can't have the grandchildren and give them a hug and stuff like that. I've got to stay 2 meters away from them and stuff like that. So all that hard work that I've done and other grandparents have done and other people have done to not visit their own parents or visit their own children, all us lot that have kind of stuck by it and kind of had days where you just want to sit there and cry, and sometimes you do sit there and cry. I'll be honest, I sat there and cried at the thought of how long is this going to go on for, a couple of times. But it seems that we've gone through all that and then we're going to have to go through it all again because these people just want to disregard what's happened, totally ignore the pandemic at the moment, and think that this protest is far, far more important than keeping thousands of people, nay, millions of people, healthy and trying to get rid of this awful virus that kills people. Let's be honest, it kills people. It's not, you get a bit of a sniffle, take yourself off to bed, a couple of aspirin and you're out of it. People have died from this. And the sad thing is the NHS have worked their absolute bollocks off to get to the position we were in. And it's almost like a slap in the face to them that these people are totally disregarding that and not thinking that, they're going to be swamped again. Don't forget, a higher proportion of people that have died in this have been people working on the front line in the NHS, working in care homes and stuff like that. And it's a bit of a slap in the face when people say, well, I'm not going to do it anymore because one person made a bad decision, or I'm not going to worry about social distancing and worry about the world around me because I want to protest. You can protest. There are other ways of protesting. You don't all have to go, thousands of you en masse in a small group together and pass around a virus. There are other ways of doing these things. And you do have to kind of question the people that organise these things, that they're not thinking of the bigger picture. This could mean, worst case scenario, loads of people get infected and we go into lockdown for another 6 months. And that is going to cripple everyone, not just people emotionally, it's going to cripple people financially. We're going to get more people dying, the NHS is going to struggle. All this is going to happen because someone thinks that a protest is far more important than kind of thinking, hang on a moment, we could go through a second peak that could absolutely obliterate this country. I know a few people are going to disagree with me, and I can completely understand why they are. It is an emotive subject, but I've got to go by what my feelings are. My feelings are it was a tragic thing that's happened. It should never have happened. However, we've also got to look at what's going on in the here and now, and risking thousands, stroke millions of people's lives needlessly when we don't have to worries me. It does worry me. I don't want to go through 6 months, this time next year still being kind of social distancing and that kind of thing because we can't get rid of this virus. Because as soon as we take 2 steps forward, something happens and we have to take a step back. Dominic Cummings happens, so everyone decides they're not going to do it anymore. 1 step back. Now all the protesting is happening. Another step back. It is kind of weighing things out. What is the more sensible thing to do? What is the most sensible way forward with this? I know some people are going to read this and probably swearing at the screen that they are now, saying that you have to protest. I'm not saying don't protest. I'm saying think outside the box. You don't all have to get together in thousands in a group. You can protest in other ways, or you can try and organise it a bit better. Don't just say to everyone, turn up in one place and that's it. Because you know that people are just going to turn up for the sake of, well, I haven't been out, I can use it as an excuse to get out and about because there's thousands of other people there, so I might as well join in as well. So the whole kind of spirit of why the protest is happening, a lot of people aren't actually interested in the actual reason why. They just want to turn up because there's a lot of people there and it's an excuse to get out. And rent a mob turn up. They don't care about what the cause is or what people are protesting for. They just want to turn up and try and stir up a bit of trouble and maybe have a bit of a ruck. So yeah, sorry to be a bit of a downer on this one, but I've got to be honest. You know, things are quite frightening at the moment. Um, if you do disagree, feel free to kind of pop on the Facebook page, or pop on the YouTube page of mine and kind of say how you feel. But yeah, worrying times. Okay then. Well, I'm going to go now anyway. So please take care. Hopefully, we will get through this eventually. And peace out, my lovelies.